My lifelong dream was to visit the enchanted country of my heritage, Ireland, the Emerald Isle. In September 2013, I realized my fondest wish. My friend Anita and I joined a CIE bus tour, one I highly recommend. After a long flight through Tampa through JFK in New York, we transferred to Aer Lingus, and then we landed at the Dubliner Hotel. Notice this Irish redhead. We saw a lot of those. Also notice this white-haired lady sacking out on her bed. We excitedly snapped pictures of the cityscape from our windows, all the while pinching ourselves and gushing. Are we really here? We soon met our tour director, Peter Murphy, who was also our bus driver, baggage handler, historian, and entertainer, with his Irish brogue and stories of Irish life. "Oh, be Jesus" was his favorite expression. He took us on a quick jaunt through the colorful streets of Dublin. Even the construction workers captured my attention. Dublin does have medieval alleyways and ancient structures, including St. Patrick's Cathedral. But I was also very drawn to the mundane, the pubs, the many bicycles, the bright tour buses. All fascinated me on the streets of Dublin. The Georgian architecture with the famous painted doors. It's an area developed in the early 18th century and was saved from destruction by various historians, architects, and preservationists. Dublin's history is evident in its buildings, such as Leinster House, built in 1745 and said to be the model for the White House in Washington, D.C. The Famine Memorial along the River Liffey on the Custom House Quay was by far the saddest of all the sights. Rowan Gillespie, a Dublin sculptor, created these statues in 1997, and they were presented to the city of Dublin to commemorate the tragedy of the potato famine in the early 19th century. That horrendous event caused 1 million deaths from starvation and drove another 1 million out of the country. Next to the statues on the River Liffey sits the Jeannie Johnson, a replica of the famine ship, also known as coffin ships, because of the numerous people who perished on them on their voyage to the New World in America. Well, it was definitely time for some fun. We were given a tour of the Guinness Brewery. Arthur Guinness and his famous brown stout are very famous in Ireland. He was a great philanthropist who left a great legacy. The Irish absolutely love their Guinness, the man and the beer. On the top of the brewery, we received a free Guinness and a panoramic view of the city. We made a stop in Kildare to visit the National Stud and Japanese Gardens. Funny combination. Horse racing is a very popular pastime in Ireland. Once retired, these thoroughbreds can live out their days in bucolic splendor. There they also enjoy the company of the cute little falabellas, miniature Australian ponies. Charming town of Kilkenny, with its winding streets and pastel storefronts, was where we spent our second night. As you can see, Anita fell in love with Kilkenny Castle. You don't see many medieval castles in Florida. The huge Waterford Crystal Factory closed a while back and shipped its business to countries with cheap labor. However, they do maintain a smaller version to show tourists the basic operation. I posed with a replica of the Solheim Cup, since I was the lady golfer in the group. That award is similar to the Ryder Cup of the PGA. A special creation honored Father Michael Judge, a hero of 9/11. People always ask me, did you kiss the Blarney Stone? Well, no, I didn't. I was tired of riding and wanted to stretch my legs on that beautiful acreage, not stand in line in a damp castle. I preferred taking castle pictures from the outside on the beautiful grounds. You don't go to Ireland for the weather. I don't need good weather on vacation. I live in Florida, so I don't mind the rain and the mist and the clouds. I especially loved this cloud formation. Sort of looks like an ice cream cone, doesn't it? Many thatched roof cottages still abound all throughout the countryside. This is an example of one. And, of course, Ireland is famous for its fish and chips. By the way, I ate a lot of fish in Ireland and loved it. On the Ring of Kerry, at Ladies' View on Mall's Gap, we were greeted by this handsome young musician. Brendan Ferris, his sheepdogs, and his sheep put on a wonderful demonstration for us. The dogs were amazingly skilled, the sheep were amazingly compliant, and Brendan's brogue was absolutely charming. Jasper posed for us willingly. Here's another of Ireland's redheads in the village of Sneem on the Ring of Kerry. I was so excited to see the evidence of my Irish roots everywhere. I ran around town snapping pictures of my mother's maiden name. Matt Malloy of the famous Chieftains owns a pub in Westport where I met this gentleman. We decided that we were cousins. What do you think? I also had to make a nod to my friend and long guy, Pat O'Shea. At the deserted village, deserted due to the potato famine, a cemetery is still in use. Up the hill are the ruins of small stone cottages, which were once occupied by the families who died there or left. We were supposed to see the cliffs of Moher, but the fog was so thick that I had to settle for taking a picture of the mural inside the visitor center. We made a stop in Galway, subject of a beautiful Irish ballad. Galway is a young, hip city, bustling with university students, with street entertainers galore and filled with shops of all kinds. There are many hostels in Ireland if you need cheap accommodations. The Wyatt Hotel in Westport was my very favorite. So quaint and charming, like the town itself. We visited the mansion, Westport House, to see how the other half lived. Here we learned about Grace O'Malley, the Pirate Queen. She was a feminist long before Gloria Steinem. In the 16th century, she became a sea captain, commanding 200 men as they traded goods by sea, with some piracy and plundering thrown in. On the last night of the tour, back in Dublin, we had a sumptuous meal at the Brazen Head pub. This is officially Ireland's oldest pub, dating back to 1198. Actually, this makes it one of the oldest companies in the world. And here we were treated to stories of the Irish folklore and to more Irish music. It was time to say goodbye to Seamus, here posing with his little buddy. Anita was taking little buddy home, the souvenir that she had purchased at the Blarney Castle. We spent one more day in Dublin on our own. We made a pilgrimage to the General Post Office, site of the Easter Rising in 1916. A rebellion that led to Ireland's independence from England in 1922. You can still see the bullet holes from the conflict. The Book of Kells is generally considered to be a must-see for all visitors to Dublin. It dates back to the 9th century. It's a series of artistic images based on the Bible that's been preserved for all of these centuries. We wanted to see it, but we didn't want to spend the whole day standing in this line. We were entertained by street performers. We had fun with a statue of Molly Maguire. She may or may not have been a real person, but she is definitely a legendary revolutionary leader. Then it was time to wave goodbye.